I want to talk about fearless. The series is more than a series. The title, Fearless, was the phrase that I felt like the Lord was giving us for this new year. As we talked together as a staff, this was the thing that kept stirring up in us. God was just calling us to be fearless, but also to learn how to be fearless. Fear is a big problem. Big problem. Probably more than sometimes we're willing to admit. How much fear affects our emotional state, how much fear dictates decisions that we make, how much fear drives our life or paralyzes us from doing things we're being invited into doing. Fear is massive. And you don't have to look very far. Every news outlet you turn to, no matter what end of the political spectrum that news outlet is, feeds on fear. And so the messaging and the attention getters and the why you should listen to us is all based on fear, stirring people up emotionally to be against or to be upset or to be whatever about something related. Usually fear is at the core of it. And fear will have you for lunch if you let it. Fear will control and dominate your life if you let it. And unfortunately, fear is an issue as much for a follower of Jesus as it is for anybody else in the world today. I can't tell you how many times I've sat down with believers who know the Lord and have an awareness of who God is, and yet the fear of the future for their children consumes their attention. Or the fear of this finances and the future and retirement or lack of retirement or what's coming with the recession or inflation, the fear of provision. Like these fears, unless we learn to deal with the provisions God's given us of his peace, those fears will dominate our lives just as much as anybody else's. And thank God he invites us into something a whole lot better. He offers us a kind of peace that is lasting, a kind of peace that is real and honest, and not just a theory, not just out there, but something that actually can tangibly grip the soul and change the course of our life, change the course of our emotions, meet us in the moments that we need it most. Several years ago, the Lord was inviting us into a season that best I can describe at this point was just a season of major uncertainty where he was inviting us to say, I want you to be a part of a redemptive plan that I have, something I want to do. Will you join me in it? And it was not anything we had ever been a part of, anything we knew, or anything else we were prepared for. And there was no playbook. There was no script to follow. There was no do this, then this, then this, and X, Y, and Z. The only play he gave us one play for the playbook. And this was it. Do nothing in fear. That was the only word we had. That was the only thing we knew. Do nothing in fear. And we didn't even know what the end of the adventure was going to lead us on. We didn't know where this journey was going to land. So we couldn't even hope for a particular do this or that or whatever else. It was just partnering with him. And I'll tell you, throughout those months that we were in that season with him, that was the only play we had. Because things would pop up, situations, insecurities, challenges, opposition, things would pop up in that season. And the only thing we had was do nothing in fear. And so we just at every turn did the opposite of what fear and self-protection was trying to tell us to do. Every time. Okay, Lord. And our assumption is we're going to move out knowing that you are God, that you are good, that you are able, and you can take care of whatever we can't control. So we're just going to trust you, and we'll make no decisions in fear. And boy, another day I'll get to tell that story, but the journey that brought us on and the joy that it did and the redemption and the plan of God, what he did through that. But what an awesome statement over this chapter of our lives together in 2023. What if that was the title heading of this chapter? We did nothing in fear. This chapter of your life, I did nothing out of fear. I was fearless in 2023. Fear didn't control me. Fear didn't make up my decisions. Fear didn't keep me. Fear didn't paralyze me. Fear didn't stop me. Nothing could stop me because I was following my God. I recognized his presence in my life. I let him determine my steps and my choices as I moved out. This series that we're about to jump into highlights the challenges we face with fear while illuminating the promises and the provisions that we have in Jesus to deal with fear. It points us to what is possible through our relationship with Jesus, and it sets up the why, the big why behind spiritual formation and the role it plays in our life, why it is so critical to attend to the matters of the spiritual things in our life. It's a setup for all of that. So we're going to get into those things. I'm going to start this series with the topic, the provision of peace. Because in this, you can turn in your Bibles to John chapter 14. In this passage, it's the night that Jesus is going to be betrayed. It's the upper room conversation where he's talking about what real leadership in his kingdom is like and demonstrating and washing their feet and talking to them about the betrayal that's coming and that Peter's gonna betray him is gonna deny him and that whole conversation. And then it's the whole setup. And John gives us like this big version of all that Jesus says. And in this upper room, right before he's about to leave them, they don't understand why and how and all of that, but I'm gonna leave you and I'm not gonna be here. And this fear is just starting to rise in them, and the trouble and the anxiety of all of that is starting to stir up in them. They're trying to get their bearings as Jesus is preparing them for what is about to come. A road that they didn't want him to travel down, that's unthinkable to them, a road that's unthinkable to themselves. And then the promises that come in the midst of all of that, that's where I want to just kind of park it. One verse. I just want to park it right here. They're hearing this and they're trying to get their hearts around it. Jesus says these words in verse 27, "Peace I leave with you. My peace I give to you. Not as the world gives do I give to you. Let not your hearts be troubled, and neither let them be afraid." I'm going to read it again, but I actually want you to join me this time. I don't always do this, but when we do, don't worry about reading it perfect. Who cares if you mess up on a word or whatever else? I just want you and me to join this moment together. Even those of you at home and those of you outside, we can hear you through the walls, just so you know if you're on the plaza. So we want to hear. I just want you to read this with me. These are Jesus' words to his disciples before he goes to the cross. Before all that darkness hits and all that stuff, and before they get the joy and the exhilaration of the resurrection and seeing him and you're back and all of that, before he leaves all the promises of what he said, I'm going to leave with you when I go. Let's read together nice and loud, verse 27. Ready? Begin. "Peace I leave with you. My peace I give to you. Not as the world gives do I give to you. Let not your hearts be troubled, neither let them be afraid." Three things. Peace comes from Jesus. He left it for us. It's available to us. Secondly, turn away from fake peace. You can't have his peace if you keep settling for fake peace. And then lastly, turn to Jesus to be the source. Peace comes from Jesus. "Peace I leave with you," he said. "My peace I give to you." It's my peace. I'm leaving it. Listen, I'm going to leave. And he kept telling him, I'm going to leave. You're not going to see me again. I'm going to go prepare a place for you. But I'm going to come back and receive you to myself. I'm going to go away. I'm leaving, but my peace is staying. Hear that word so clear. I might be leaving, but my peace is staying. My peace I give to you. He who is the Prince of Peace, he who is the King of Peace, he whose kingdom is bathed and cared for and surrounded in peace, him saying, I am going to leave, but I am going to leave my peace with you. Now, this is what the disciples experienced with him throughout the ministry, their 3.5 years with him. Everywhere they went, everything they came into contact with, every challenge they faced, every storm that they walked through, Jesus was there, and with him was this peace. It was an amazing peace. And they were dealing with all the things they were dealing with: family issues, health issues, actual storms in the world, opposition, insecurity. And yet, every time Jesus would show up and be there with them, he would bring his peace, because it's who he is. It's the very outflow of his presence is peace. It is who he is. And you remember, maybe some of you, when you learned how to ride your bike for the first time, and you were out there on your 2 wheels and we're finally taking off the training wheels, and you remember, I don't know if it was the same for you, but the picture is pretty similar to most of us. Somebody was out there with us holding on to the back onto the seat while we were pedaling, right? And we're like, this is working, and they're hanging on to the pedals, and they're like, come on, just pedal faster. And you're like, you're a little nervous, but you're okay, because they got the hand on the seat. And you're like, I'm all right. They got the hand on the seat, so we're all good. We're good. And we're just pedaling along, trying to learn how to balance, and all of a sudden, we look, hands are off the seat. And it's just us, and we're going. And it's like that for them. They had Jesus' hand on the seat their whole life moving forward as they went through and encountered and engaged the things they were engaging. They had his peace, his presence there holding on. And he is saying, I am going to be gone. You won't see me soon. But that doesn't stop you from knowing what it feels like to have my hand on the seat of your life. My peace is staying. My peace is going to be with you. And just before these words, he's talking about the Father coming, him and the Father coming and living within us. If you continue to walk in my word, to obey the way I've taught you to live, to love one another and to care about this world around you and those people and to live in righteousness. Listen, if you're walking with me, if you're walking according to me being Lord of your life, we'll come and we'll live with you. And he explains how throughout this passage, throughout these chapters, from 13 all the way through to 17, how that happens. He says, by my Spirit coming and living within you. Real present power of God, presence of God living within you. And this is how you can know my presence with you no matter where you are or what you're going through. Peace comes from Jesus. Proverbs 18:10. The name of the Lord is a strong tower. The righteous man runs into it and is safe. The name of the Lord is a strong tower. In chapter 17 of John, the same discourse, he talks to them about, I've protected them in the name that you gave me, the name Jesus. I protected them. All through that time, my hand was over them. My authority, my name was covering them, protecting them, walking with them. And listen, when you put your life in the hand of Jesus, when he is King and Lord of your life, not a great idea, not some old historical figure, not some teacher out there, but the living God, exactly who he said he is. When you say, Jesus, you're Lord of my life, your life is now covered in his name. The name of the Lord is a strong tower. The righteous man, the righteous woman can run into that and be safe. That is a real safety. The name of the Lord, the weight and the confidence we have knowing who we are in Christ, who I am to him, who he is to me. It's a strong tower. His presence is a strong tower. It's a place for the soul to find refuge and peace. A good picture of this, I was trying to find video clip. I was trying to get something to just describe the picture, but if you can imagine like what people are experiencing, what we've been experiencing for years and will only continue in the kind of the blizzard conditions of life, like all these things coming, all the frenetic craziness in the news and things happening around the world and all of the pressures and the things that we face and the stuff that's just coming at people. It feels like it's been in the cold winters of the past, like this blizzard. And you know in blizzards that literally they have whiteout conditions. You cannot see your hand in front of your face. It's the most dangerous conditions of blizzards. But imagine you in a blizzard, like this life, the blizzard that's going around, your finances, you're trying to figure this out. The kids aren't doing well. This is happening. The fear is creeping in. The stuff at work isn't going so well. The economy is tanking. Politics are crazy. All of that, things in your relational life and your family life are not good. That craziness. And I say all of that, but that's what it feels like inside. Isn't it true? And you're in that blizzard. And you're kind of reaching around. I got to get out of this. And you find the handle of a door. And you turn it and you open it and you walk in and close the door. And you discover you are in this cozy little cabin. The fireplace is on. Hot cocoa is set. The little Labrador retriever is curled up by the fire. It's an actual place like this. You can find this stuff. The blizzard is raging outside, and even though it's raging, you have access to this strong tower. This cabin, I walk in, I close the door, and all of a sudden, I recognize the peace of God that was promised to me as a provision from Jesus. I'm leaving, but my peace is staying. If you are in me, I am in you. And you have access to that kind of peace no matter what the blizzard of life is going on around you. Just open the door and step inside and let my presence overwhelm you. How much would you give to know how to open that door and let his peace meet you every day, as often as you need it? And make no mistake, that was and is the invitation he was leaving to his disciples. Oftentimes, the challenge is that we have learned to turn to fake peace. Easier things that are out there, things being offered us. He says, not as the world gives, do I give to you. Not the way you would find it in the world. What I'm offering you is not something you can even find in the world. The kind of peace I've come to give you, my hand, my presence on the back of your life, me with you in the midst of the storm, the cozy cabin of a strong tower that you can run into, is not like something you'll find in the world. It's not conditional. It's not temporary. It's not here one day and gone tomorrow. It is available to you all the time, but you'll only find it in me. You'll only find it from me. In Colossians 3, I just love this picture. Let the peace of Christ rule in your hearts. To rule in my heart. Does it rule in your heart? How do you find it? Listen, what is your mechanism for finding peace when things are crazy? What do? I don't have an exhaustive list. I was just trying to think of all the kinds of things that I might run to, that we might run to, that some of us run to. if we go for the kind of peace that the world offers rather than the kind of peace that Jesus has made available. One thing is distractions. When I can't find peace in the world, I turn to things that just distract me. Inside is the swirling chaos, and so I just look for something that will take my attention off of all of this so I can put it on something else. And for a time it works. Movies, they give me about 2.5 hours of distraction. I can binge a Netflix show or something like that, and I get multiple hours of distraction. I can pull my phone out and turn on my favorite app and play a game or surf or swipe through and be distracted and look at pictures of dogs that are so cute or whatever else we want to do to be distracted. But if I'm distracted, I don't have to think about all the stuff going on in here. Or some of us become overly invested in our children or in sports. Anything that will take my attention off of what I'm dealing with. So distractions, what else? Sometimes it's pleasures. These feelings I don't like. I'd like to find a feeling that's easy that I do like. Pleasures, this is where pornography is such a trap for so many. Or shopping. I love shopping, it gives me a thrill. I put my mind, I could go search, I'm on the hunt. I love the hunt, by the way. I do all the Christmas shopping in my family. Just so you know, I do have to deal with a little bit of sadness when it's over and I've bought the last gift. I'm like, do I have to be done? I gotta be done, dang it. Shopping or eating. Find the next food, next thing that makes just for a time, it makes me feel good. Or gambling and the thrill of the gamble. The adrenaline rush feels better than what I feel inside. The pleasure. So we turn to distractions, or maybe we turn to pleasures, or maybe those aren't the things. Maybe we look to just numb it. Maybe it's a combination of all of it. But then if we can't deal with the distractions or the pleasures aren't enough, every one of them ends at some point. So we turn to just trying to numb the feelings so that I can hold them down and manage life. And then so numbing, we turn to alcohol. How many times do we think, hey, listen, this is so stressful, I just need to pour a glass. I just need to or drugs. And I'm not talking about only illicit drugs. Prescription drugs are just as big a problem for many. Whatever just takes the edge off. I don't want to have to think about or feel or whatever else. I just need to be numbed for a while. For some, it's neither of those two things. It's just people around. I just need to be in crowds. I need to be where people are. And so I'm just kind of looking for the next crowd to be in. Again, that's not exhaustive, but I'm just trying to give examples of the kinds of things we turn to find the peace that we cannot get from Jesus. They're all temporary moments of peace that we call peace, but aren't the real thing. Usually those things not only leave us without peace, but they leave us with sometimes unhealthy addictions. Because our go-tos, whatever we feel like will help us in the moment, becomes a go-to. And then guess what? We develop those neurological ties. Sometimes they're chemical related too. All these things start to point to behaviors and habits. Then they become what we become loyal to. And I'm so loyal to those things, I won't let them go. I won't give them up because they help me, because they are mine. They become to us what only Jesus was intended to be. And yet these fake peace choices are the very thing that he invites us to let go of. Because we can't know his peace if we keep accepting lesser versions of peace. Are you with me? And those things, by the way, in this season, and your 21 days can continue past this if you'd like, but those are the kinds of things that are perfect material for 21 days of fasting and prayer. Those are the great things to put on the top of your list. They're the things on my list. That's what comes up there. What things are my distractions that are lesser than the best? Thomas à Kempis said this in his book, his devotional book, Imitation of Christ. All men desire peace, but very few desire those things that make for peace. And in his time as a Catholic monk, his goal was to help people re-engage this relational connect with God above religion, past all of that, to help these new believers, to help those who are stepping into this rediscovered devotion with God. Not maybe the same way we use the word today, but this movement within the Catholic Church of saying, listen, this relationship with God is real. You can know him and he can meet you. And his devotional that he wrote for those is all chock full of the topic of peace. What peace is available to us that Jesus offered us? And so he says, listen, everyone desires it, but few are willing to do what it takes or to those things that make for peace. And he's talking both about those consistent rhythms of our life, those disciplines that then lead to, I know how to open the door. I know, because I've been with you in the morning, I know how to come back to you in the afternoon. I know the way to the throne of God. Those disciplines, and then those things that we have to renounce, the fake sources of worldly peace. Are you willing to do that? He says this, Christ will come to you offering his consolation or his peace, if you prepare a fit dwelling for him in your heart, whose beauty and glory wherein he delights are from within, not from things we do outside, they're from within. His visits with the inward person are frequent, his communion sweet and full of consolation, his peace great, and his intimacy wonderful indeed. His passion for his generation was that they would learn the consolation, the peace that Jesus has come to bring to the inner man, to the inner woman. That's my passion. It's my passion for our church. It's my passion for my own kids. That's my passion, is that we would know that. And then lastly, Jesus says, well, listen, I'm leaving my peace with you. My peace I'm giving to you, not like the world gives. I'm giving you something else. He says, so let not your hearts be troubled, neither let them be afraid. We are responsible to open that gift as often as needed. He tells us, let not your heart be troubled. Let it not be afraid. Anybody ever been afraid in your life? Anybody ever been troubled in spirit? Are you with me? Jesus says, listen, don't live there. You don't have to live there. I've given a provision. My presence is available to you. The stronghold, the strong tower that you can run into, that cabin in the middle of the blizzard that you can open that door and come in and close behind you and enjoy the warmth of my presence. I've made this available to you. So, don't live there. Turn your eyes back to me. Turn your eyes back to me. Nearing the end of this discourse in chapter 16, he says, I've said these things to you that in me you may have peace. In the world you will have tribulation, but take heart, I have overcome the world. That word for tribulation in the Greek, thlipsis, means trouble or affliction that causes pressure. Reason I shared that with you is because I love the picture of pressure. That's what we feel. That's what I feel. I don't know about you, but that's the type of things we feel on the inside. It's like this pressure, stress or anxiety or worry. It's this pressure inside. In this world, listen, there's going to be lots of that. There's going to be lots of challenges and afflictions and problems that cause pressure. And I'm telling you that what I'm offering you in peace is not a life that doesn't have to deal with those things. It is a peace that enables you to deal with those kinds of things. It is not a world of escapism that pretends those things aren't happening in your life. It is a world of realism that says, even though those things are present, so is my God. And there is a peace available to me right now. That is what I'm offering you. What are you afraid of, stressed out about, anxious over, intimidated by, insecure about? What is causing you this morning or this season inner pressure, inner tension? In Philippians chapter 4, by the way, I'm going to read you these words, and this is not a happy-go-lucky person who has no problems in his life. This is Paul writing from prison. Right now, you guys all have a better circumstance than Paul when he wrote these words, but Paul knew, he lived this. He understood how to open the door to the peace of the presence of God wherever he was, no matter where he was, no matter what the prison, no matter what the circumstance, in the middle of the ocean, in a storm. And he says, the Lord is at hand. Never forget the presence of God that is available to you, the provision of peace from the presence of Jesus. I'm leaving, but my peace is staying. That is available to you. The Lord is at hand. Do not be anxious about anything. Don't live there. And then all of us should stop and say, well, that sounds really good. I don't want to live there. How do I not live there? Right? How do we not live there? I'll tell you how. In everything, whatever the situation is that is causing the tension and the pressure and the stress, in every situation, by prayer and supplication, by talking with God and presenting your needs, by talking with God and presenting your challenges, by talking with God and sharing the reality of what you're facing, by talking with God and sharing how you feel about what's going on in your life, by talking with God about what's really bothering you in life, by talking with God about what really makes you afraid, by being honest with God about what is really going on inside of you. Is that getting through? By being honest with God, bring it to Him with prayer. That's talking with God. That's not a formula prayer. That's just talking with Him. And supplication, these are my requests. This is what's going on in my life. With thanksgiving. Why the thanksgiving? Because in all of this, whatever it is, this is what I know. You hear me. You, the God of the universe, creator of all things, you hear me. And I'm thankful for that. That I have an audience with the God of creation who not only hears me, who has told me and shown me and repeatedly told me that He loves me. So there's thanksgiving in this, that the fact that we're even talking. Make your requests known to God. And the peace of God, the open door to the cabin in the midst of the blizzard, the peace of God, which surpasses understanding, meaning this, you don't have to know the whys or the hows of how it's all going to work out, why it's going on around you, that even if your brain, your understanding doesn't understand all of the facts in the case and what's happening and how it's going to work out, beyond understanding will guard your heart. The peace of God will guard your hearts and your mind in Christ Jesus. The peace of God will set a guard over your thoughts and your emotions. The peace of God will come and set a guard to all those thoughts that want to race out of control about what could possibly happen, all the scenarios, all the eventualities, all the things you can't control, and the racing, and the doubts and the fears that just want to keep talking. It can shut them up. Guard your thoughts and your emotions that are swirling around. I can't quite get a handle on them. Whatever else, the peace of God comes and it just settles it. I'm here. I'm still holding on to the back of the bike. Just keep pedaling. Just keep pedaling. I'm here. In 2 Chronicles 20, it's one of my favorite stories. There's a couple that I wanted to share. I got time for one, but Judah's king, Jehoshaphat, is being surrounded by multiple armies coming against him. The Moabites, the Ammonites, the Mennonites, all of them coming for battle. Some men came and told Jehoshaphat, a great multitude is coming against you from Edom beyond the sea, and behold, they are here. And Hazazon Tamar, that is En Gedi, that means they're just over the hill. A great multitude beyond number is coming against you. It's like this, the numbers or life, the stack, the situation, the feelings, all of it. It's just surrounding you, and it's greater than your capacity. It's bigger than you. It's coming, and it's here. Then Jehoshaphat was afraid. Like I would be afraid, like you might be afraid. He had inner tension and pressure and stress and anxiety stirred up within him. But what did he do? He set his face to seek the Lord. But everything in prayer and supplication with thanksgiving. But everything in prayer and supplication with thanksgiving, everything, bring it to the Lord. He set his face to seek the Lord, and he proclaimed a fast throughout Judah. And all Judah assembled to seek help from the Lord. Make your requests known to God. And he prays a beautiful prayer. It's all there for you to read. And at the end of the prayer, this is the statement. This is my statement. The beginning of every year, I'll take time to get alone with the Lord. I did it again this year. I'll do it every year. The beginning of the year, to start a new year with this heart. For we are powerless against this great horde that is coming against us. We do not know what to do, but our eyes are on you. What do I mean? I mean every year to admit that you are dependent upon God. God, I need you this year. And I won't despise anything that comes into my life this year that causes me to remember how dependent and humble I am for your help in my life. It's a gift. If you've got something right now in your life that is reminding you how frail, how fragile you are, how powerless you are against the enemy, it's a gift to bring you back to the throne of the living God and to say, we don't know, I don't know what to do, but my eyes are on you. I love that prayer. What are you troubled or afraid about? Can I invite you to stand with me? Those of you outside, those of you even at home, just to change the posture. Your rear end needs a break anyways. Just stand. Let me ask you this question again. And you can close your eyes. It's easier just to not be distracted by anything else that you could look around at. What are you troubled or afraid of? What is right now causing you inner tension, pressure, tribulation, fear? With your eyes closed, just fix your heart right now on Jesus. Even see yourself opening the door to the cabin and stepping into his presence. Share what it is that you need help with. Just say to him right now in your heart, this is what is causing me stress or anxiety or worry or fear, frustration, anger. This is it. This is what I'm dealing with, Lord. What are your thoughts about this, Lord? I'll meet you in this. Maybe just stay here for a measure and have a conversation with the Lord, and then we're going to continue in worship in a minute.